What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of the state's favorite podcast, the world's favorite podcast. It's the Kings of Tennessee podcast. I'm joined as always by Billy Derrick. Billy, basketball season's here. We're in the midst of it. Baseball's a couple weeks, and we have a very special game Sunday. I guess I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Chase, by the way. That doesn't really matter. But yeah, Billy, how are we doing?
Good, man. We're back. I guess what has it been a couple weeks
Uh,
since
we took last week off, yeah.
okay, so yeah, been a couple weeks since the last episode. Kind of knee deep in basketball. I mean, we're kind of I think we've stopped a lot of the football talk, but although I do think we're kind of morphing into college football becoming a an all year round topic point. With everything going on, whether it's portal, NIL, coaches leaving. I mean, every time a coach leaves now, you get a 30-day portal window. I mean, so I think we're going to keep talking football, but it has slowed down a little bit. And with basketball, I think we're going to get into it. But the SEC, I think one of their better seasons and best seasons in a long time. I mean, you're hearing a lot of people say they could get 9, maybe even 10 teams in the tournament. I don't think they get 10. They might not even get 9 when it's all said and done, but I think they at least get 8. And man, it's a deep, deep league. And I like this time of year too because baseball's coming up, and I know we'll get into a little bit of baseball too. But yeah, man, never slows down with the Kings of Tennessee.
We are here to provide for our lovely citizens of this great state that we both reside in. And uh, like you said, SEC basketball it's intense, man. It is intense. Baseball's a couple weeks away. The SEC baseball, I mean, the league is deep in baseball as well. So this is it's a good time to be a SEC sports fan in general. Football, basketball, and baseball. This league is so deep in all aspects, and it makes watching year-round sports so much fun. Even I don't know if you know this, Tennessee played Vanderbilt this past weekend in hockey. We had a little
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, well, I think it was 2 or 3 game series, but yeah, I mean we even got hockey going on out here in the SEC. So our rivalry just it reaches all sports. It reaches everywhere. There's not a sport that goes untouched. Um, but yeah, let's get into some basketball. Um, both of our teams played this past weekend. Vanderbilt getting a big SEC win. Billy, what do you take away from that Missouri win? That I was so excited. The first SEC win of the season. I know you're really not wanting too much because you know there's a guy that needs to be jobless at the end of the year. But what's the takeaway from the Missouri win?
Yeah, I mean, like I think I told you last time we did this, I guess a couple weeks ago. It's not really fun talking Vandy basketball. There's nothing new to talk about. I guess it was new that they actually won a game. Missouri is awful. They might even be worse than Vanderbilt. They are 0-9, I think, in the SEC, about to be 0-10 after losing to A&M later tonight. But yeah, I mean, good for the guys. I'm happy for the players. For them to get one on the board, I thought was big, and it says a lot about the character they have. They've been playing with effort, and I like a lot of the guys on the team. I like a lot of these. A lot of my negative takeaways in this team don't really revolve around the players. It's really just about the lack of player retention from Stackhouse and the lack of organization and just competency really. And so yeah, overall, it was a hard fought win. They made some big shots late. Tyron Lawrence and Evan Taylor, who is a transfer from Lehigh, has started to step up for them. And getting their first SEC win was big. And that avoiding going winless in the conference. This means they're not going to go winless. I don't know if they win another game. They might. I know they got to play LSU again, but they got South Carolina this Saturday. Still have to play Tennessee again. Got to play Kentucky again. Got to play Florida a couple more times. So it's just a gauntlet, and it's bad timing for Vanderbilt to not have a ton of talent this year. You know, we've talked about their good guards with Mignon and Lawrence, but they just don't have enough around those guys. So, yeah, happy for the guys. Like I said, I like a lot of those players. Mignon is a really good dude, and they've got a lot of just good character guys, and they've been playing hard. That's the one thing I'll say about this group. They haven't, it's not like they're quitting on their coach, which some people would have thought might happen. I mean, late, I guess it still could. I just haven't really seen it. So that's kind of a positive. And again, to get one, I'm sure it felt good for the guys. But yeah, lost to Kentucky last night. Just got bludgeoned by Kentucky. 32-point loss, one of the worst losses, in the program's history at home. So yeah, they just it gets worse. As soon as you're like, oh, it can't get worse than this, it did. And so, now they got to play South Carolina, who is, arguably the best team in the league right now. I mean, they're 20-3 and 8-2. I think they won again last night. So yeah, it doesn't get easier for Vandy. And yeah, it was a good win, but at the end of the day, there's no time for, crediting this team for a win. I mean, yeah, credit the guys, but it's kind of like you're talking into oblivion right now with this group.
I feel like you mentioned the players not giving up on their coach. I think it's the opposite. I think Sackhouse is kind of, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he's given up on the team, and I think he's given up on just everything. Um, Especially the quote. It feels like there was a quote we talked about maybe a month back, where he's like, "We just can't get seniors and juniors on this team." And then the quote from I think well just recently he said there's a lot of catching up to do talent wise. It's like as a recruiter, that's on you, buddy. If you can't, I mean, if you want to, he's just pointing fingers at this point. And even the referees, he said he kind of blamed the referees last night. He said there's a lack of consistency there, and that helped the game get away from him. And it's like, God, you pointing this many fingers. I think he kind of knows. Like he's a gone. Like there's no way he thinks he's coming back next year. And I think he's okay with not coming back next year. And I think he's kind of shown that a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think there's part of him. He hasn't really made it obvious, but there's been some quotes here and there, like you said, that have sort of solidified the fact that he's gone after the season. I mean, he did say he had one after the Kentucky game. Kentucky took a shot. I don't think anybody was really watching anymore, but I did think it was interesting. They had their walk-ons in, and they took a shot with about 6 seconds left in the game. One of their walk-ons, and I asked Stackhouse. I said, "What did you have any conversations about that after the game? Did you, did you talk to Cal or the player after that shot? Because I mean, usually that doesn't happen. You just dribble it out." And he goes, honestly, no. I didn't really have the energy for it tonight. My energy was focused on the referees, and he gets into blaming the officials like he always does. So, it's just tiring, honestly, right at this point. Like I just think Vanderbilt people are just fed up, and they want him out as soon as possible. And so yeah, quotes like that just kind of cement the fact that he doesn't really care. And I think he's fine. I mean, his buyout is $8.5 million, which isn't huge. I mean, we've heard of some pretty big buyouts of especially over 70 million for Jimbo Fisher, but that's not chump change, and so I think he's kind of looking at that saying, in a weird way, I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that has been his plan all along to get that $8.5 million at the end of the season, but I mean, one could wonder, I mean, so we'll see. I just maybe they win a couple more and kind of fight for respectability. I think the one thing to watch here as we close out the Vandy talk is, these players, especially a lot of these young guys, are kind of fighting for time next year. Putting stuff on tape for the new coach that comes in, and so it's a big time, really, if you think about it for these players. And I'm sure there's some guys that have already convinced themselves they're leaving, but if a coach comes in here and likes a guy and kind of throws him a recruiting pitch, who knows, maybe some NIL money that could inspire him to stay. So it's a big time for guys to put good stuff on film. So yeah, I'm with you, Chase. The quotes have pointed to some feelings that, yeah, it doesn't look like he'll be retained.
interested to see what happens moving forward in your camp, Billy. I feel for you. I'm excited. Like I said, make Vandy basketball great again. That's still going strong. And before things are great, you have to build a foundation, and sometimes you got to rip the old one down to build a new one. So that's what the process is right now. I think it gets better. Uh I'm excited for it. So I'm interested to see what happens with Stackhouse. I think he's gone though. On my side of the camp, Tennessee's after last week's loss to South Carolina, which was ready to melt down um after that one. Uh, Coming back, going on the road to Kentucky, put up 103. First time an SEC opponent has scored over 100 at Rupp since 92. That's a big win. And then tonight, I mean, blowing LSU out, kind of expected, but it was a good game. And the boys are scoring. Billy, we talked about it before we got on here. This is a very scary team. And I think
It
that
is.
scares me more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tennessee fans have been here before. I think 2018, 2019 with the Grant and Admiral team. That was a really good team. They had a 2 seed, lost in the Sweet 16 to Purdue. Um, but you can't really. Purdue was a great team. They hit shots that night. Tennessee, obviously, there's controversy with the way it ended there in overtime, but I just think Tennessee fans would love to see. I mean, if you can get, I hate putting a round on it, but if you get to the Elite Eight, I know, like Chase. Let me ask you that, like Final Four, is that the expectation here? I mean,
Yes.
like what
And
is okay? Yeah. So Final Four is the expectation. Final Four is tough to be the last four team standing. That's tough. So, but again, we're looking at here. There's still a lot that can happen. There could be a big injury. There could be, Dalton Connect and everybody could start playing better, which is what they're doing. I just like, I know LSU isn't great, but they played against LSU the way they did against Kentucky. So I think Tennessee's sort of rounding into form, and these next 4 or 5 weeks are when you have to round into form. Um, and so I think that win over Kentucky and Rupp was a statement. Kentucky's still a really good team. I think they're a 6 seed right now, according to Lenardi. Um, I think they may even end up as a 5 potentially. That's still a really good Kentucky team. And what Tennessee went in there and did was unreal. Dalton Connect only had 16 points, but Josiah Jordan James, if you can have half that production in a lot of games, you're going to win. And Ziegler was unreal. Vescovy hit some big shots. Jonas Adu continues to play well. Meshack is a lockdown defender. Gainey's hitting big shots. Like they've got guys everywhere, man. I mean, they roll them at you. And they got as much depth as Auburn. I think maybe not as much depth as Auburn, but similar depth to Auburn, where you can, each guy you bring in behind the starter, there's not a ton of drop off. They do from what's his name? Awaka is not that big of a drop off. I guess Vescovita Gainey is not a huge drop off. So I really like this team. And again, it's going to come down to how do they play? How do they continue to mesh along with Dalton Connect? Because that's going to tell a lot of the story. But yeah, it is all about March, Chase, and I think we talked about it earlier. It's still Rick Barnes, so he's got to break through, and there's not a better year to do it than this year.
I want to slightly adjust my statement. Yes, I think right now the Final Four is kind of like the goal right now, and that's kind of like end all be all. We've only made one Elite Eight appearance ever, and that was 14 years ago. So will I be happy with an Elite Eight appearance? Absolutely. Will I be upset if we get knocked out? Depends on who we play and how we play, I guess. But this seems like the in college basketball or in college sports, you have a window, right? In any sport, really. This is as wide open as the window has been for Tennessee basketball. You've got the guy that you're missing in Dalton Connect who's going to take over games and he's going to score. He's going to drop when he's averaging over 20 points a game right now. Um, he's going to give you at least 20, 24 on a bad night, and on a good night, he's going to give you 38. Um, the defense has been great. It's a Rick Barnes defense. They're contesting shots. Sometimes they get lost on their switches. I think they're over aggressive sometimes on their switching, and it leaves an open man backside, which scares me. They don't have the cold streak as like they used to. The last couple of years, they've had cold streaks where they just don't score for 10 minutes. That seems to have gone away. But yeah, this is it. This is if you're gonna win a national title, and I know it's March, it's tough to win in this sport. This is a year to do it. And it just seems like everything's falling into place. And as a Tennessee fan, you never want to hear those words because nothing ever ends good when everything is going right. Something's gonna happen. We're gonna be positive for now, but it just that's coming at some point. Um,
I just think like law of averages. Like the law of averages has to come into play here with what is Rick Barnes? I mean, I'd love to know Rick Barnes' record in March at
I will find
Tennessee.
that
I don't
right now for you.
I don't know if we've got it. Um, but how many Sweet 16s has he even made? I know they made it in 2019 when they played Purdue,
I think he's only made
but
one.
only made one. So it's
I think
like,
he's only made one. Yeah.
only making one Sweet 16 in how many years has he been here?
He's been here since 2015, almost 10 years.
Okay, so almost 10 years. That's yeah. I mean, there's a reason they call him regular season Rick. He's got to you got to find a way. And again, Chase, I talk about law of averages. I think the basketball gods this season have to shine down on Tennessee. Um, Now, does that mean they make the Final Four? I don't know. Does that mean they lose a tough one in the Elite Eight? I don't know. But man, for me, get out of the Sweet 16. First get out of that first weekend because I think we talked about it too before we got on. If there are two, um, yeah, that next game is going to be either a 7 or a 10. And usually a lot of those 7 and 10 seeds are pretty good. So get out of that first weekend, and then after that, get to the Elite Eight. See what can happen. Because you never know. That's the biggest thing. You never know. Tennessee could lose in the first round. They could make it to the Final Four. I mean that it's all about matchups, and if they get good matchups, I'd pick Tennessee to beat anybody. But again, when you get to the Sweet 16, you'll have to play a really good 3 seed, likely maybe a 4 or a 5. So it's once you get to that second weekend, it's all hands on deck.
I was off by one. He's been to two Sweet 16s, 2018 and 2022. Oh no, last year. I'm sorry, last year and
Oh, last
2018.
year, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, I forget about that because uh, was it Michigan last year? No, I don't
it
even
was
remember
FAU,
honestly. Well, yeah, I choose not to remember that. But he's
and
won
then
an SEC.
Michigan was the I want to say year before in the round of 32. I think.
Yes, yep, yeah. This is the year they won the conference title. So he's got
Yeah,
two Sweet 16 appearances and a conference title. He is overall at Tennessee 188 and 97. Um,
yeah,
so he's been great. He's been successful, but
yeah,
and I get Tennessee fans love him and good for you guys, but like when do you say like, oh cool, regular season you can do anything you want. March matters. I don't care what it if you're not winning in March, what's the point?
yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, I get the frustration. Like you said, almost 10 years now, and I just wonder. Tennessee's not going to fire Rick Barnes. I'm not saying
no.
that, but I just wonder: is there a point where Rick kind of goes like, say they lose in a brutal like round of 32 game this year? Again, don't think that's going to happen. But does he get to a point? I don't know how old he is. He's getting up there. When does he get to a point where he just kind of goes, I've kind of had enough. I don't think it's very soon, but you got to wonder, does the pressure intensify this year? We'll see. But Chase, this is a different team with a player like Dalton Connect that can go win you a game and get you a bucket. So I think that's the biggest differentiator.
He's 69, just signed an extension till 2027. So interested to
Okay.
see what happens. If Tennessee loses in the round of 32, uh, just make sure that there is water at the under that bridge once I inevitably take the leap. In other SEC news, Auburn smoked Bama tonight. That game looked fun. And South Carolina's good. Billy, any points on Auburn or South Carolina?
Yeah, man. Start with Auburn. They just finished up a beat down of Alabama tonight, and that was a statement win for Auburn. And you look at where they're at in the SEC now, they're tied atop first place with Alabama and South Carolina now. All three of those teams are 8-2 now. Um, so yeah, I don't think there's much difference between those top four. I know Tennessee dominated Alabama, but that was in Knoxville. If they win in Tuscaloosa, I think Alabama might be your SEC regular season champ. We'll see, but I think the tier is those four: Bama, South Carolina, Auburn, and Tennessee. I think Kentucky's just they're just so young, man, and I think they're probably a tier down. Honestly, probably by themselves. And then you kind of got everybody else: Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, and Georgia. And then you've got kind of that bottom tier: LSU, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Vandy, Missouri. So, but yeah, Auburn, man, we've talked about Chase. They've got as much depth as anybody in the country. They're 11-0 at home. Neville Arena is electric. I mean, it's good luck winning in there if you're a road team. They've gotten back on track. They've won 3 in a row now after beating Bama tonight. But South Carolina is a hot team too. They've won 6 in a row. They're 12-1 at home. And they're atop the SEC, or at least tied atop. I think first SEC team to 20 wins. That's pretty impressive. So I love the job Lamont Paris has done. And for South Carolina, wonder what kind of seed they get. You would guess they're a 4 right now, maybe a 5 around, in that range. But they're dangerous, man. I really like that South Carolina team. They're physical. They picked up some really impressive transfers. The BJ Mack kid plays below the rim, but he's a really aggressive player. They got Miles Studi from Vandy, who's a knockdown shooter. They got Michi Johnson, who's they need to manage his personality there, but that's a talented group, and they play together. I love Lamont Paris and what he's done, and for Auburn, they sky's the limit for them, really. I mean, I think they could be Final Four good, as well. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Auburn and South Carolina look like the two best, but I don't think Alabama and Tennessee are far behind. And you can even argue Tennessee is the best team. I mean, you could make a case for all 4 of those teams to be the best team right now, technically. But yeah, really impressive to see this league and how deep they are. If they get 10 teams in, I don't think that happens, but I mean, if you're getting 10 teams in, that means Bama, South Carolina, Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, and Georgia. I would guess that would mean, yeah. So crazy that we're at this point, but that's what these teams, they've invested in good coaches and good players, and that's what you get.
I like both of these teams a lot. I think South Carolina is really good. Billy, I'm gonna hit you with 2 futures that I'm currently about to sit on. Tennessee national title, pretty simple, right? Like, gotta make that bet. Here's a fun one for you. To make the Final Four, Indiana State plus 55, plus 5,500 or plus 55,000. It's a long shot. They're really good. Uh, I think they're a bubble tournament team right now. They just won by 40 tonight. It's a team that's really good. They shoot the ball really well. They score really well, and they're a quick team. So that's my long shot of the NCAA tournament. But Billy, it's time for our debuting segment. It's time for Billy's baseball corner, and this is what we've all been waiting for. It's time. I don't know. There's supposed to be music playing. I don't know if it's playing. I'm trying to get it to play. Doesn't sound like
I
it's
can't
playing.
I
It's not
can't hear it
playing.
very well.
Dun, 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 dun. Billy's baseball corner. Billy, baseball's around the corner. It's coming up. Fill us in on just fill us in around the nation, around the SEC and baseball. It's time for Billy's baseball corner.
Yeah, here we go, man. Looking forward to Billy's baseball corner this year. We'll be hopefully doing it every week, or at least whenever we can record. Chase, the SEC is loaded once again. It's just like basketball. It's kind of incredible what these teams, the coaches, have been able to accomplish. You look at the top of the SEC, you think about Florida, you think about Arkansas, and you think about LSU. I think that is the top tier in the SEC. Florida with Jack Caglione coming back, He's a two-way player. I don't think we've ever seen a player like this in college baseball history, really. He's a guy that throws from the left side triple digits a lot of times. He's sitting 98, 100, 100, 101, 102. So he's a freak. I would guess he'd be their ace too. And they lost a lot from last year, but they got a transfer from Alabama. Colby Shelton, who hit 24 home runs last year. So Florida is loaded once again. Arkansas has a really, really good pitching staff. But they don't have a ton of power offensively, similar to Vandy, which we'll get to. But they did pick up some transfers, especially on the mound. Really, really solid rotation. Kendall Diggs offensively is a really good player. They got Ty Wilmsmeyer from Missouri. So Arkansas team to watch. LSU, of course, they lost two generational talents with Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, but they loaded up in the portal again, just like they did last year. They got Luke Coleman, a transfer from Alabama. He was their starter last year at Alabama, and he'll be in LSU's rotation. They've got a lot. They've got a lot back and a ton of talent from top to bottom. They've probably got the most depth and just sheer raw talent on their team. Tommy White, who is a freak, is one of the better players in the country. And so he's going to be a guy to watch for LSU. And then kind of that second tier in the SEC, I look at Vandy, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. Vandy's preseason number 6 in the country according to D1 Baseball, and I think we talked about it off air a little bit, over the last month or so about Vandy. But they're going to have pitching every year. Their pitching staff is loaded. Carter Holton's their ace. He'll probably be a first, if not first, second round draft pick. Draft guy. You got Devin Futrell in there as well. Just a ton of young pitching talent. And it's good amount of experience too, coming out of the pen. And then offensively, you got to step it up. They didn't have a single guy hit double-digit home runs last year, so they have to they just have to hold up. There's a lot of veteran guys that have to hold up there in the bargain offensively for Vanderbilt if they want to get to Omaha. But yeah, for the Commodores, if they can just hit a little bit, they don't have to hit with LSU or Tennessee type power, but they got to improve a little bit from last year. But I do think Vandy is a potential Omaha team. A&M, don't know a ton about really their personnel, but A&M's really consistent under Jim Schlossnagle, who actually left TCU for A&M a few years ago. Beautiful ballpark. Their fans are rowdy, so I think A&M's gonna have a really good year. Tennessee, we say down year a lot of times. The teams I'd call this a down year, but I mean they lost a lot. Lost Chase Burns. They're losing Chase Dolander. And then offensively, they're losing Maui Ahuna, I guess, and just a lot from last year. So, but you got Blake Burke, a guy who'd be playing first base for them. Hunter Ensley, I really like. Christian Moore will be at second. They brought in some transfer catchers. They brought in a transfer third baseman from Clemson, Billy Amick. They got a lot of transfers. Tennessee did. So I think can they mesh better than they did last year? I think a lot of that team took a while to mesh last year. Can they mesh earlier and kind of, maybe put themselves in a better position seed wise and maybe even host a regional this year, which I think they can. Yeah, Tony Vitello, as long as he's there, I think he'll win a national title eventually at Tennessee. I don't know when it'll be, but I mean, I think Tennessee is headed in the right direction. So, yeah. Other than that, Chase, I mean, you do look at teams going down the list. You look at Alabama, a team we talked about their drama with their head coach last year. They have a new guy from Maryland, Rob Vaughn, who has a lot of expectations. They'll be pretty good. And then South Carolina as well. That's a team I think being slept on. So if I had to pick a sleeper, I think it might be South Carolina. I like Auburn a lot too. So we'll see. It's another loaded year. But hopefully that was a good enough breakdown for the first baseball corner.
Yes, sir. I am that I was so excited for Billy's baseball corner because I love baseball. I just don't get a lot of SEC and college baseball in my life, and I feel like a lot of people are the same way. They're missing college baseball, and what better place to get that college baseball than Billy's baseball corner? I mean, there's no better place to get it. And we definitely need to get together for the Tennessee Vanderbilt series in May.
Let's do it.
I'm making that a point. I could buy
Let's
tickets
do it.
anytime. Uh, so yes, Billy's Baseball Corner is going to be a mainstay this baseball season, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited about it. We'll get theme songs. We'll get it going. I'll get some work behind the scenes. Um, well, all right, Billy. I think there's only one way to wrap up this show, and it's our first ever inaugural segment that I think we're gonna tweak a little bit because we kind of are interested in it. We like pick'ems, right? We had a pick'em in college football. I didn't
Hmm.
do so hot. The pick'em champ, Billy Derrick. Um, we kind of we're degenerates, right? We like to throw a little money around here and there, take a little spreads, take a little over unders. I mean, that's what we do. Where we live and die for this. So what better way to live and die with one last football game? So sad to say that. The Super Bowl is Sunday. It's time to bet the bowl. Bet the bowl is an idea I had at midnight the other night, looking up at the ceiling, and immediately texted Billy and said, "Let's bet the bowl." So I've got my five best bets that I have been researching for the last 2 weeks, and I'm so excited to share them. Uh, Billy, do you have any picks?
Yeah, I've got a couple player props here. I haven't I haven't submitted any of these yet, but I'll go Debo Samuel anytime touchdown. I think I have it. I see it at plus 160.
Love
He's
it,
going
love
up
it.
against an elite. He's going up against a really good defense that the Chiefs have shown all season long. Um, I think Shanahan is going to lean on his best playmakers, and one of those guys is Debo Samuel. I think he's going to get a lot of touches along with Christian McCaffrey. But since McCaffrey's priced at, he's got such a premium score. I'm going to take the better return on investment with Debo Samuel getting into the end zone. So I'll take Debo Samuel. And then you've got another one. Let's see here. I'll go first touchdown. This is always hard. I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco, first touchdown of the game.
I love
So
that.
in 19 Mahomes Chiefs games this season, here's the breakdown of first touchdown scores: 15 passing, 4 rushing. 1 has been from the quarterback, 7 have been from the running back, 9 from the receiver. I know that's a lot of numbers there, but if I'm already betting on a Chiefs quick start, because they usually start fast, I think it makes sense to start with KC to score first. And Pacheco, I mean, he runs like his hair is on fire. So I think they're going to feed him early. Now maybe they don't score first, but maybe the Niners next possession don't score either. But I think either way, Pacheco is going to be the first touchdown of the game. So Isaiah Pacheco first touchdown, and then Debo Samuel anytime touchdown.
My one rule that I've made for myself for bet the bowl is I have to bet. I have whatever your picks are, whatever my picks are, they're getting bet. So those two are. I just wrote those two down on my card. Love it. I'm excited. Uh, I've got five best bets that I've been sweating away the
Oh,
last couple weeks. Been thinking, trying hard. Let's start off easy. Let's start off easy, right? George Kittle anytime touchdown score. George Kittle when they
yep.
lost the
I was
Super
thinking
Bowl
about
in
that.
when they lost the Super Bowl in 2019, he said, "I will be back and I will be back with a vengeance." He's kind of lost a lot of production with CMC joining. Brandon Ayuk's broke out. Debo is still Debo, but he's coming back with a vengeance, baby. And what better way to do that than scoring in a Super Bowl? So it's at plus 165 right now. Lock that in, ladies and gentlemen. That's your first one. Second one, again, we'll keep it easy. I like this game to score points. I like both these teams to have a big day. Over 47.5. Right now, you can get that at minus 112 on DraftKings. FanDuel suspended my account, so DraftKings is where we are right now. Shout out DraftKings. Another one, a fun one. Here's the third one. Here's my third one. Brock Purdy had 28 rushing yards last week. 20 over 20. Don't I'm not a statist. I'm not even saying that word. Not a good stats guy, maybe. Brock Purdy, give me over 12.5 rushing. You can get that right now at minus 120. He's going to scamper. He's going to have a couple runs with that secondary locking up sometimes on the outside. Purdy's going to have to run. Give me 12.5. I think he gets that in the first half. Easy. All right, now let's get crazy, right? It's bet the bowl season. It's the Super Bowl. It's the last football game of the year. Let's get freaking wild. There's a woman out there that's ruined football this season for me. All the girls are following all over her. They love her. They want more. They're Swifties. They're singing her songs. Who is she dating, Billy? I think a guy named Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey. 2+ touchdowns on Super Bowl day.
Wow.
If you
Wow.
remember the last time Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, Gronk had 3 touchdowns. You know who
Mm.
you know who's the next Tom Brady people are calling? Pat Mahomes. Who does he love? Travis Kelsey. Taylor Swift probably is going to be at the game. They're going to show her a bazillion times. Travis Kelsey, 2+ touchdowns, plus 500. That's not, I mean, that's 2 red zone trips. It's not a lot. They're going to throw to him. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. Here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. In the game of football, somebody has to throw a pass at some point in the game, right? And somebody has to be the first person to catch a ball in the Super Bowl. Now you're thinking, why would you bet this? This is so out of left field. Because it's bet the bowl, baby. And at bet the bowl, we go freaking wild. So give me Debo Samuel, first person to catch a pass, plus 700. I just
Mm.
feel it. Do I have any stats to back that up? Hell no. What do I have? A gut feeling because it's bet the freaking bowl.
I
Debo's going
love
to be
it.
the first person to catch the ball. You're thinking, oh, Brandon Ayuk, he's had a breakout season. He's going to get guarded by L'Jarius Sneed. Psych, little screen pass to open up the play. Debo Samuel. And then obviously Billy's picks. Pacheco first touchdown. Debo anytime touchdown scorer. Though that's my card for the bowl game. That is my card.
That's a hell of a card. I love it. And I think I'm with you on the Ayuk because Snead is I mean he's the best one of the best defensive players in the league. So that's just a brutal matchup for him. Now, we could be proven wrong, but the odds say that Ayuk is not that guy to pick, but we'll see. I like those picks a lot though.
I'm fired up, dude. We're gonna be so stinking rich at the end of this game. Taylor Swift is gonna date us. Sorry, I'm taking Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is gonna date this podcast. We're gonna be so stinking rich. We are the
Let's
guys
do it.
on the field in the karma. Uh, but yeah, I think that that's gonna wrap it up for Bet the Bowl and the show. Billy, do you have any sign off words for us as we head into our battle of all ages on Sunday?
And I can't wait. I have a good feeling we're gonna be rich after this Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it.
We're gonna be rich. They're gonna make movies about us. I'm so excited. I think that is just about gonna do it for us on this great episode of the Kings of Tennessee podcast. We should be back next week. If not, we will be back the week after that. But we're gonna be rich next time you see us. We're gonna be driving limousines, riding in jets, private planes. That's gonna be us. That is gonna be us. Billy, thank you for joining us. It's been great. We will see you guys next weekend. Oh, I forgot one thing. Fuck the NCAA.